Hey, hey, hey. I am so glad you are here with us on Gray Roots Podcast. Today, we are excited to have a special guest. We have Dee Dee Moore here. And Dee Dee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to meet you all and to chat with you about all things grandparenting.
We love that. Kari and Alecia are here with us. And Alecia just added two new grandbabies to her tribe. So
Yes.
I think she now has seven grandbabies. I have
Oh my gosh.
six grandbabies. And Kari also, you have five, I think,
5.
right? So we're
Yeah.
Well,
five, six, seven now.
you guys are all ahead of me. I have 3, so
That's so fun. How old are your grandbabies?
they are 5, 7, and 9.
Oh, such good ages.
They are.
I've got my twin babies are the one set of twins. They're 9.5. So
Okay.
they'll be 10 this year. So they're going on their big 10-year-old trip. One fun thing that we do is my daughter-in-law, she said when she was a child, her grandparents took all the grandchildren on special trips for their 10th birthday. So she asked us, would we carry that on? So this is it. This will be our first 10-year-old trip this summer. We're taking the boys.
That's exciting.
I know. I'm so excited. So Dee Dee, introduce yourself. Tell us all about you and how you got into this whole grandparent space.
Well, I was working as a communications consultant for a few years, and I couldn't work that in with the demands that my family had on me. So I decided to retire from that, and it took me about 2 weeks to get bored. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start a blog, and I'm going to start a blog about grandparenting because I couldn't really find one out there when I became a grandparent. I couldn't find good information on the things you need to do to be helpful to parents. So I started this blog, and I spent a lot of time on both grandparent forums and parenting forums, reading a lot of threads on Reddit and seeing what parents were worried about, what they were complaining about with grandparents, and also what grandparents' concerns were. And I found there was this huge disconnect. Parents were complaining about things that grandparents were doing, and the grandparents had no clue what a problem this was. So I thought, well, this could be a really useful way to help grandparents understand what parents want them to know. And that really resonated with both parents and grandparents. And so after about a year of just, continuing this as a blog, I realized this really needs to be some sort of business because I'm spending a lot of time and money on
Yeah,
keeping
you
this
need to get
thing
paid for
going.
it.
So I need to find a way to help it sustain itself. So that's when I made it a business. And it's been so rewarding to reach people. And I get emails all the time, both from parents and grandparents saying, this changed everything for our family. Knowing the mistakes that I was making or, having my mother-in-law follow you has made such a difference in our relationship. So it's been a blast.
I love that. I think it's so important because I know for the three of us girls, we were shocked when we came into this space a little bit, really at just the negativity around it, just that people are
Mhm.
so passionate about how sucky grandparents are and mothers-in-law are. But boy,
Yes.
they were going at it. And we were like, wait,
Yes.
we're just over here trying to love you and just trying to,
Mhm.
take
Right.
care of
Yeah.
you. So we have had to learn, what is it that makes a healthy grandparent? Your studies and in your working with families, how would you define what is a healthy grandparent? What does that look like?
I think it's somebody who recognizes that their role as a grandparent is subordinate to the parent's role, right? And that they need to really support parents first. And then that relationship with their grandchild will naturally evolve and become close. It's not, if you're focused just on the grandchildren, you're missing out on the most important thing, which is supporting parents. Those are still, it's still your child. They still want your love and respect, and they deserve it. And so if you become a grandparent and then just shift completely, forget about parents, that's when the problems start.
Yeah, it was so interesting. I mentor a group of young moms, and they come to my house every couple of years. And the last time they were here, I was talking about a book for grandparents, and I said, tell me, what do you need? And do you know, Dee Dee, they all said just what you said. We need to know that we're not forgotten as the parents, that often, and I think this might have even been our first episode, Alecia had the term skip what was it called? Skip
Skip
generations, skip
Gen.
over,
Skip Gen.
skip
Skip
gen.
Gen.
Yeah, talking about that, how the grandparents do. It seems like, okay, we're parents, but now we're going to skip over being parents and just move on to being
Right.
grandparents. And our adult kids are over there going, hey, what about me? Right? I still need that. Not even the parenting, but just that
No.
relationship and that
Yes.
connection. And when you keep that going, that's what, just what you said so beautifully, that's what helps that relationship with the grandkids just naturally evolve. I love how
Right.
you said that. Ladies, Alecia, Kari, you have any thoughts on that one? Just the
I'm
healthy
curious
grandparent?
as far as like, yeah, the response that you've gotten as far as this end, like the grandparents, are they open to do you feel like they're open to hearing it and kind of going, aha, thank you. Like, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't realize I was doing that. So are you getting some of that feedback?
Yes, I do. I get a lot of that feedback, which is so gratifying because that's really who I want to reach, right? I do have a
Hmm.
lot of parents who follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, but I'm talking to grandparents. I'm talking to them to say, "Hey, here's something you might not have considered. Here's a different way to look at this. Don't listen to those messages that are out there saying, spoil them and send them home. That's not what you want to do with your grandchildren if you want to have a healthy relationship with their parents." So I have grandparents saying, "Oh my gosh, I never
Mm.
realized, I
Wow.
never thought about it from that perspective.
Mm.
I wish I get this a lot. I wish I had found you 3 years ago. I
Mm.
wish I had found you, when my grandchild was first born."
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that it's so important though that they realize one of our taglines is we're all still learning. I mean, I'm totally a different grandparent almost 10 years in than I was in the very beginning because I've been learning too and learning how to be a better
Yes.
mother-in-law and a better mom to adult children
Yes.
and a better
Uh-huh.
grandparent. So I
Yeah.
think that, encouraging that it's not too late. So thank goodness they found you now
Mm.
and not 3 years from now,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it's exactly. I had the most wonderful letter from someone who had purchased my course, which is called New Grandparent Essentials, and she said, I have the most wonderful daughter-in-law in the world, but she comes from a very different world. Like, her upbringing was the opposite of my son's, and I really didn't know how to relate to her, and I finally, started listening to your messages, and I went and just had this conversation with her and said, "I'm sorry for the mistakes I've made. I wanna do better. How can we go forward?" And she said everything has changed, and she just has now the most wonderful relationship with her daughter-in-law that she really didn't think was gonna be possible.
I love
That's
that.
amazing. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, so just,
Yeah,
that
I love that
admitting that we're
too.
still learning, that we want to do better, it can is really so important in any relationship.
Yeah, it's one of the things we talk about on this podcast is that, and I know Alecia, it's her passion, and she talks about just giving grace, just being willing to give grace and look for the good in the other person. And I think, again, one of the negatives about social media is that we get these thoughts are like gasoline is being thrown on them by social media posts, by influencers
Yes,
saying, hate
yes,
your mother in law is. And so
yes,
maybe you
yes.
did have a little situation with your mother in law, but now it's been fueled by what
Yeah,
you're reading online. And so if we can just
yeah,
reel that back and say, maybe it wasn't what they
right.
intended, and maybe you
Yeah.
could give them the benefit of the doubt. And Alecia, do you want to elaborate on that anymore? Because I know it's your heart.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of, for lack of a better word, cross contamination, right? The daughter-in-laws are doing and saying things that they don't necessarily mean to be offensive, but the mother-in-law takes it that way. And the mothers-in-law are saying and doing things that don't mean to be offensive, but the daughters-in-law are taking it that way. And then all of a sudden you have one thing that happens, and then there's a little riff, and then there's another thing, and there's never any conversation about what the original riff was, about what the problem was that's separating these two people. And I think, and granted, we say this, right, like, we know there are mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law that are out there.
Yeah,
We know there are, right? We're
right,
not
right,
saying
right.
that we're all perfect, but I happen to believe that the majority of the grandparents and mothers-in-law that are out there are really just, they're doing the best that they know how. Um, and maybe they don't know how to do better, which I think is great where you come in, right? Because then they do know better. And once you know better, then you can do better, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
speaking of that, let me hop on that because you talk about on your Instagram that you've got some secrets. You've got 5 secrets that you share. Now, maybe you don't want to
Yep.
share them all because we want to send people to, your page to get those. But
Just
can you share some of that? Give us a teaser what
yeah.
those secrets are to be a great grandparent.
Well, it's things like I think I mentioned before, spoiling. That is the message. The primary message you get as a grandmother is spoil them. Right? I can't wait to spoil that grandbaby. Spoil them and send them home. Grandchildren are for spoiling, right? All of that
Yeah.
is so negative because, one of the things that bothers me about that is just the word spoil. Like, there is no positive connotation to that
Yeah,
word
true.
in any other use, right? So
Yeah.
we don't want to spoil our grandchildren. We want to cherish them. We want to, lavish them with love. And I think that just knowing that the messages you're getting from society, from social media, from the t-shirts and the mugs and the signs at the little cottage store, those are terrible messages. That's
Mhm.
not what you want to be listening to.
And even
And I
to
think
go with that too is like, oh, don't tell your parents. Don't tell your
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
That's so bad.
Hmm.
we have a
Hmm.
thing with my daughters-in-law, one in particular, and I love that she does this, but we don't keep secrets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have told my grandkid, like, listen, you can tell your parents anything. If I do something, if Papa does something, you can tell them anything. Now, sometimes we'll have surprises, for like
Right.
if we're doing a
Right.
birthday surprise and
Yeah,
like
that's
we don't want
different.
to spoil the surprise, right? But
Right.
that's not a secret. That's a
Yeah.
surprise
Yeah.
that is ultimately unveiled.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a question. Like a lot of those messages could perhaps come from previous generations. What do you think about that?
That's a
Like
great
when
question.
you had kids, were your parents kind of the mindset of let me spoil those grandkids? And I think it was intended to be a good thing initially, right? We were hard on our kids, we raised our kids, we had to keep the boundaries, and now we can be a little softer because we're not raising them.
Right. Right. No, grandparents have always wanted to do the extra things for the grandchildren, right? I
Mhm.
think the difference now is we're so much more of a consumer society. There
Mm.
is so much more to buy. When my parents were spoiling my kids, it was at birthdays and Christmas. It was not a present every time they came. It was not Valentine's Day, Halloween, Easter, everything else. It wasn't nonstop stuff. It was definitely too much at Christmas and their birthdays, right? But there wasn't as much temptation. You can't go in a store now without seeing something. You can't go to the drugstore to pick up a prescription without seeing an aisle full of stuff that you could get for your
Mhm.
Hmm.
grandkids, right?
Well, on
So
Amazon, you just shoot it right there.
bingo,
yeah.
right? It's right
Hmm.
there all the time.
Guilty.
So
I'm
Hmm.
guilty.
yeah,
Same.
So
Yeah.
guilty of
I
that.
know, I know.
I just sent my
Yeah.
son like 3 things for his son. It's on the way. I heard, yep, I think Thomas needs this. It's
Yeah,
coming.
I'm
yeah,
seeing Millie
exactly.
today, and I'm bringing her a big purple chair because she just painted her room. But I'm like, she doesn't need that. Oh, but it's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And parents are left handling all this stuff, right? They're
Yeah.
Yeah.
left trying to figure out how to get that big purple chair to, you know, stay in the room without losing the bookcase and the toy chest and
Hmm.
whatever else.
I did ask permission.
Well, that's good. And that's
I did.
key, right?
Yeah.
If parents come to you as a grandparent and say, listen, you got to hold back. You've got to stop with so much stuff. He got 28 presents at his second birthday party and he had no interest in, anything past number 3. So please just stay. You've got to listen. If it's
Mm.
not a
Yeah.
problem for parents, it's not a problem for you, right? But you've got to listen to what parents are saying to you.
Well, I think that most parents are probably, in my mind anyway, like okay with us spoiling them as long as the spoiling is in line with what they're okay with.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, yeah, when he goes to grandma's house, he can have an extra cookie, but please don't feed him candy for dinner and then send him home because you're letting him have whatever they want.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, indulging your grandchild within the limits of parents, what's the word I want?
Limits,
Values
boundaries,
and
values.
rules and
That's a good one.
boundaries. Yeah, that's fine, but taking that as permission to do what you want without, any filters, that's when it becomes a problem.
Mm.
We as grandparents are not there to break all the rules and make parents' lives more difficult. That should not be what we're doing.
I had a video go viral over Christmas, and it was just a video. I actually had made it last year. It was one of me just getting ready for my grandkids to come for Christmas. I was bored waiting for them. I did it in 5 minutes, and I was just showing, here's the room I had set up, blah, blah, blah. But one particular shot struck a nerve. It was the shot where I showed stainless steel cups that I had for my grandbabies. And I said, because my daughter-in-law wants stainless steel. And then I said, oh, and I bought some dye-free sprinkles. And I just had it sitting out. Bought some dye-free sprinkles because we're going to make cookies and the kids are dye-free. My daughter-in-law wants dye-free. Dee Dee, they went wild on the internet because I didn't even think about it because I was just saying, this is what I have. But they're like, wait, your daughter-in-law likes that? And so you got it? And so you didn't do the opposite? I mean, people were stunned. I know, that's exactly my response was, what? How is that even a big deal? Like, I wasn't thinking it was
Yeah.
a big deal when I'm videoing it, but it was a huge deal among
Yeah.
these moms. And
Yeah.
so somehow we have to convey to parents just what you started off with. We are no longer the lead actor in the movie. We have moved to the supporting role. And so
Yes.
we have got to do that with grace and we have got to do that
Yes.
with enthusiasm. So what would you say common mistake grandparents make with their adult children? What do you see the most with the adult
Just
children?
stopping the relationship with them, right?
Yes.
Stopping focusing on them and listening to them and showing them how much you love them, how important they are to you. And that can be as simple as buying the dye-free sprinkles, right? Larger gestures are also wonderful, helping them with bills that they are having trouble meeting. Whatever it is that they need, being there for them as a resource and as someone who wants to support them is everything to them.
I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
One of the
Kari,
things
you had
that's
something
come
on
up
that?
for me in this space since we've been starting to do this, and it should have been a no-brainer, but because we've been talking similarly about this too here at Grey Roots, is even just like when my kids are leaving with my grandkids hugs, kisses, I
Right.
love you, like not enough, and then let my kids go, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, 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 go over, give her a hug, give him a
Yeah.
hug, bye, I'll see
Yes.
you, eye
Yes.
to eye, and just say, hey, thanks for coming to them too.
Absolutely. And
So
that's
just
something that I know parents really complain about with grandparents coming to visit. Like, beeline for the baby. Don't even say hello to your children. Don't even say, how are you today? Right? Just
hmm
get there and where's the baby? Where's the baby? Right? And that's so hurtful as an adult child because
And
you
especially if
want to
you have a
still matter.
daughter-in-law too, and we assume
Yes.
they don't even need it, but they might not be as comfortable speaking up. I love that one of my daughter-in-laws, she'll tell me, I'll be like, do you want me to help with the kids there? She's like, no, I really just want you to sit down and talk to me. I really want to just have a cup of coffee and catch up. The kids are all around us, but she wants my attention on her. And I love
Right.
that she feels comfortable to say that to me. And so
Yes.
many of our young moms and young dads don't feel comfortable saying, again, hey, what about me? What do you
Yeah.
think is the most common mistake you're seeing now with grandparents and the grandchildren? We've talked about the spoiling situation. Is there anything else that you see on a regular basis where grandparents are just missing it, missing the mark?
I think that it's because our world is so busy, because there's so many things vying for our attention, we sometimes forget how important it is to just really focus in on that child. Put the phone away, stop trying to get
mm
the perfect picture,
mm.
and
Yes.
listen to them and engage with them. I think that that's something that is so easy to disregard when even if whether they're there, whether you have a close relationship because they live close by or you're more distant, I think that spending the time really focused on them is something that we don't do enough.
Yes, I love that. I saw on Instagram with a friend yesterday. She's a grandmother and she's in an RV right now. They're living in an RV. And so she said she doesn't get to see her granddaughter very much. So she FaceTimed with her granddaughter and they baked cookies together. She had gotten a new recipe. She sent it to the granddaughter. And for 90 minutes they stayed on FaceTime and went through the entire process of baking these cookies
Mm,
together. And I thought, I'll do a quick FaceTime with my grandbabies, and one might take the phone and we might be on it 10 minutes, but
yeah.
90 minutes she engaged
Yeah.
with her
Wow.
granddaughter so that they could have
Yeah.
that time of connection. I thought it was so lovely. I thought that was such a great
That's
It's
example
very
of what
wonderful.
you're
creative.
saying. Yeah, 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 yeah. What advice would you give if we've got people listening that maybe they haven't become a grandparent? Maybe they listen
Mm.
because they're a new mother-in-law, but they don't have those grandbabies yet. What's some advice you can do to help them prepare for this next stage?
Work on your relationship with your daughter-in-law or your son-in-law. Really focus on making sure they understand that you're there to support them, that you have a relationship with them, that they're not just an extension of your child, right? And one of the simplest things you can do to start getting into that mindset is stop referring to them as, Greg's wife.
Mm,
Use her name, my daughter-in-law, refer to her as the relationship you have with her, not as an extension of
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, we all want to be
That's good.
seen. That's what that says to me,
yes.
that you're
yeah.
Yeah.
seen when you.
Yeah.
I remember being so offended one time. Now, this was not even anyone related. It was at a dentist's office, for goodness sake. But that dentist would always call me my child, so and so's mom. And I would get so offended. And every time he would say it, I go, it's Kathy. And he would go, Henry's mom, it's Kathy. And I can imagine how much
Mm,
more that would hurt if it were someone that you're
Yes.
looking up to and that you're wanting to build a relationship if they can't even acknowledge something as simple as your name. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. Alicia, Carey, you have
Yeah.
thoughts on that? On helping? Do you have
I
anything
think
to
it's
add?
just the little things as you're just showing that it's the little things and that can add up to the big time relationship to where we want it to go. It's those little touches that we have. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asking questions, how much do you know what she does when she goes to work? Do you know where she grew up? Do you know what kind of house she lived in? How much do you know about your daughter-in-law or future daughter-in-law if you don't even have one yet, right? Welcome them into the family by being interested in them and showing that you want to know them as a person.
hmm
Yeah.
I
So,
actually have a
Kath, I would
spreadsheet because we
say,
have so many that it's a spreadsheet. This one, her favorite
lot.
flower, her favorite this, her favorite color, her favorite cake, like
I have
all the
notes on my
things.
Absolutely.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
have
do
notes on my
too.
phone of all of that,
Yeah.
of their
So y'all
favorites.
are
Yeah.
showing me up. I know my daughters-in-law right now are listening like they're like, Alicia needs a spreadsheet because I remember that certain ones like certain things, but I don't remember which ones they are. And somebody likes blue cheese. Who was it? Oh, it
Who
wasn't you.
doesn't?
Oh,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even
So I
remember that about
definitely
my
need a
kids,
spreadsheet.
so
Well, I don't either. It's all like it was all one big blur for me. So I just
yes.
remember some people like some things and some people don't. I just don't
Right.
remember which ones they are.
Man, but isn't it something like when somebody remembers the way I like my coffee and like, oh, you like it this way? I'm like, wait, you know that about me? It does
hmm
Uh-huh.
does strike me, just as powerful. And
Yeah.
hmm
I think for them too, I can see when I remember something and they'll be like, you remember that was my favorite dessert or this. Hopefully that says, I see you, I know you,
hmm
you
Yes.
Yeah.
matter to me. So
Yeah.
I agree with
Absolutely.
you so much in that. I think it's so important. And
hmm
I think with becoming a grandparent, I think having those honest conversations, like as it gets close
Yes.
to the birth, what is it you need from me? How can I support you? And giving them the
Right.
freedom to say, we don't want any visitors for a week and you not pitching a fit. I remember sitting, Dee Dee, I was at the nail salon one time and I've told the girls this story. I was sitting next to a lady I didn't know. She was getting her nails done because she was about to have her first grandbaby. And she said to me, my son and daughter in law weren't even going to tell me that she was being induced. A friend told me. And so I am getting my nails done because I am showing up at that hospital because it is my grandbaby and they will not keep me from my grandbaby. And I just was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
wait,
Yeah.
girl. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't speak my mind since I was just meeting her, but boy, I had a lot of thoughts on it. What would you have told this lady if you?
My gosh, I would have said, that sends a really bad message to parents. Like, do you really want to start your role as a grandparent by defying parents and letting them know that you think you're more important than they are? And I just, too many grandparents do have that mindset of this is my grandbaby. I don't care if you don't want me in the delivery room. I'm coming, right?
Yes.
At a time when, parents are especially a new mom is so vulnerable during that period and through the whole postpartum period, really. I mean, those first couple 3 months matter so much in your future relationship. And if you
Yes.
blow it on day one, it takes years to recover that relationship, even if you even are able to.
Because that
I
clearly
think
Totally agree.
says, I don't care what you say. I don't care that
Yeah.
you have boundaries. I'm going to do what I want anyway. That
Exactly. Yeah.
clearly
and
says that.
what a way to set things up for the future of them not telling you anything and not
Bingo.
including you with anything,
Right.
right? Like it
Exactly.
sounds like maybe they already had that problem and that's why
Right.
they hadn't said anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Mm.
You
worth
know,
it.
and I want to add one thing talking about like building that relationship before the grandbabies come. I think it's really important to build a relationship. You have to spend time with someone. You know, like the grandma that was 90 minutes on FaceTime with
Right.
her grandchild. You know, it's the same with the mothers-in-law and the daughters-in-law. And maybe like invest in some one-on-one time, you know, figure out something that she likes. Like the girls know I have two daughters-in-law and one loves to shop at TJ Maxx and I love to shop at TJ Maxx. Well, the first daughter-in-law that I got, I'm like, do you want to go shopping? She's like, I hate shopping. I hate being around people. I order things on Amazon. I'm like, do you want to have an Amazon party? You know, but like what I wanted to do was not, she didn't enjoy that, you know? So fine, but she loves to go, she loves like beer, like craft beer, tasting different types of beer and things like that,
Yeah.
you know? So find something that they can enjoy and you can enjoy that with them. And I
Right.
think even if it's like one-on-one time, that's even better because
Yeah.
what a great way to
Yeah.
get to know somebody.
Well, and if you
Absolutely.
have a large family, like, I have 10 kids, Kari has 9 kids. So that's a lot of spouses and grandchildren.
Yes.
Alicia has 3. I mean, we have bigger families. And so it's hard to get that one-on-one time. But again, I go back to a daughter-in-law who said to me, I really like to spend time with just you or just me and my husband and her husband. I like it when it's just the 4 of us so we can get some special time together. And you know what? I recognize that. And they said, is there any way we can see you once a month? Like, I need to see you once a month. And I was like,
Hmm.
wow, I didn't even think that that was a big deal. But
Right.
I love that they're saying it. And I think this generation, that's where some of the rub comes from, is they are a little more willing to say, I need this. I want this.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
you need to be, we as the older women need to be willing to go, I hear you and I want to support that. But
Yeah.
often we get offended and take it the wrong way and take it as
Right.
criticism to us instead of that they're really wanting. And I know when we talk to Lauren, who's a therapist that comes on with us regular, Dee Dee, she says that those girls who are cutting off relationships and those girls who are aching really are aching for a relationship. They're not they're not criticizing, they're not trying to dismiss the mother-in-laws. They really are longing for that relationship that they're not getting. That's the root of
Right.
their
Hmm.
pain. So
Yeah.
do
Do
you have
you
any
see
Feeling
thoughts
that,
a
on
Dee
lot of
Dee?
that?
rejection.
I
Yeah.
was going to ask Dee Dee, do you see that? Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, I do. And it's something that's so painful. And that's one of the reasons that I really focus on new grandparents because I think that's the time that you can really put the effort in to avoid going down that path. Today's parents are very anxious. They are very worried about so many things with good reason. I mean, there's a lot to be anxious about right now in our world. And I think that part of that comes across as a desire to control grandparents and how grandparents interact with their children. Grandparents need to be sensitive to that. It's not a criticism of us or what we're doing. It's a reflection of what parents are dealing with. And if it makes them feel more secure, if it makes them feel as though they're doing a better job, if it makes them feel more confident about themselves as a parent, then that's something we should be supporting, not bristling up against.
Love
So
that.
good.
So you mentioned earlier that you offer some courses. I would love for you to tell the listeners how can they find you, where can they buy all your things, and what they might can learn from some of your courses. So let us know all that.
So but you can find everything on my website at morethangrand.com. And that's also my social media handle. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, wherever you want to go at More Than Grand. And I offer a few things. The main one is New Grandparent Essentials, which is a complete digital course. It's a downloadable PDF. There are no videos to watch, but it has all the information you need. It has a section on partnering with parents so that you can understand what today's parents are like and how to communicate with your own adult child and their partner. There's a section on baby care and safety, which has all of the updated information so that parents can feel confident that you know what you're doing if you're taking care of their child. A section on parenting trends, which is, there are a lot of terms that are so different from when we raised our kids. And I'm sure that, Kathy and Kari, this from the time you had your first baby to the time you had your last baby,
Yeah.
everything shifted. And so,
Mhm.
it's shifted several times since then now that we have grandchildren. And there's also a section on being an intentional grandparent, really diving down into what is it you want to be as a grandparent and what impact do you want to have on your grandchildren and helping you kind of create a grand vision to achieve those things. So that's New Grandparent Essentials. I have a course for parents also. It's an ebook. It's inexpensive. I have it to help them understand grandparents because they're judging us and asking us these things of us without really understanding where we're coming from, that we didn't have the sources of information they have now. And so when we offer advice, it's because that's what we had when we were parenting. We went to the grandparents for advice. So that's
Yeah, that's
available as
excellent.
well.
Mhm.
And then there's some other little things. I've got some templates for love letters to your grandchild that are really popular.
That's sweet.
And then tons of information on the blog. So really, if you have questions, I will say that the search feature on my website is not great. So rather than searching on my website, it's better to search for a subject and then use more than grand. That'll usually take you to something, more quickly than the search function on my website, which I keep trying to improve, but have failed to do so.
Mhm.
I love that. I have
Yeah.
Squarespace too. It is sometimes challenging. Okay, lastly, we often talk about making a small deposit. We end our time together thinking about what's a way that a grandparent can make a small deposit this week based on new information they learned. And we thought we'd ask you, do you have a small deposit, one thing they can apply to maybe improve their relationship?
Go do something nice for your adult child and their partner.
Mm.
Just send them a text saying, "Hey, saw this article and it made me think of you," or "I'm so grateful to have you in my life." Send them flowers. Ask if you can
Mm.
drop off dinner. Just something small to let them know that they're important.
I
Sweet.
love that. That's great.
Yep.
Well, it has been such a joy to have you here, Dee Dee. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your encouragement. I know that
Mhm.
so many listeners are going to benefit from what you had to share. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me
Yeah.
on.
Bye, Dee
It
Dee.
was our pleasure.
Bye-bye.